Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. For those of you that are new here, I'm Rod Priest. I'm a tattoo artist from Amsterdam, specialized in lettering, dark art, and portraits. And straight out of my Tattooshop Night of Swords, I'm hosting this podcast. And in this podcast, I'm having conversations with interesting people from the tattoo culture. And today, we are having I saw the great way to the soul.
That's the one.
Yeah, man. I was scrolling on my phone. I heard this song. I was like, what the fuck? I need to have this guy on the podcast, man. The one and only Lui Surreal.
What's up? How are you?
Hey, thank you so much for being here, man.
No worries. Of
Yeah,
course.
man.
Yeah.
How are you, man? How you been doing?
I've been good. I'm honored to be here. I've been super good recently. It's been a lot of. I feel like 2025 has been like. It's been like the fruits of our labor type of year, you know, like I've been working for so long on this music shit, and then this year things are really coming to fruition. Like it's looking like, I mean, it's still a fingers crossed situation for whatever reason, but it looks like me and the homie Jesse are gonna go play in Jakarta at the end of the month. So yeah, first international show outside of the Netherlands and the UK, which is sort of like my bread and butter places because I'm sort of based in both in a way. Is in Jakarta. It's just wild, so far away, you know.
The other side of the planet.
Yeah, so that looks like that might happen on the 25th, so like King's Night, I think that is. Is that King's Night?
I think King's Day is on 26th, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's King's Night, right? Because it's the night before.
King's Night, yes, true.
Yeah, so that's kind of ironic, I feel. Yeah, but
for those of you that don't know you, you're like a punk artist, is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say I do a lot of things, but like I'd say punk revival is at the front of what
punk
I'm up
revival.
to. Yeah. As in like also as like as a way of life, you know what I mean? It's like
it's not just punk music.
Yeah.
No
exactly.
poser.
No. Like I think punk is it's just it's a way of being, isn't it, really? More than just like a musical movement.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was your introduction to punk and punk music?
Well, sorry, my mum was like a Scottish punk like through and through growing up. But like that wasn't something that like when I was born that she was still on, you know what I mean? Like she was like a punk rocker in her youth, and then sort of so like I carried that in my blood from her, I feel. But like basically I had this like rebellious gene inside me growing up. Because I grew up in Tanzania, in East Africa, basically.
Tanzania?
Yeah. Because my dad was like my dad's like a bird watcher. Like he loves birds, so he like does environmental impact assessment type shit. And so I grew up in Arusha in Tanzania, basically, from like 11 to 21. There's obviously more to the story before that, but like I grew up there, and my best homie was from there growing up, and he had this sort of like, he always had this rebellious spirit. So I feel like I already I carried this sort of like, fuck the status quo type energy my whole life, you know? So like, I listened to like left field hip hop mostly growing up, and that also carried that punk energy, you know? Like I feel like you look at artists like Chief Keef or JPEG Mafia, you know, like there's very much like a punk energy there. So I grew up with that, but then when I moved back to Scotland, which is where I'm from, originally from Glasgow, Scotland, and like that was I immediately started listening to more sort of like rock music, or I was introduced to more rock music from people. And then I sort of fell in love with kind of rock music and started in the 60s with like The Doors, and then listened to shit like Hendrix, and then went from more mainstream older into like, it got more and more current. And I sort of started listening to like the biggest hits from rock throughout my early 20s until the point where I got more and more niche.
Yes.
And I landed on like punk rock, you know, like Smashing Pumpkins, shit like that, and was like, this time period was fucking crazy, and the music was fucking sick. And what post-punk became, post-punk sort of is anything that's punky after punk in the 70s and 80s, seemed all for the most part more chill, you know, Joydivision, stuff like that.
For sure.
And then Fontaine's DC today, you know, like, I love the music. I love it so much. I also make post-punky sounding shit, I guess you could say. But for me, post-punk lacks that sort of like, that hyped up shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Yeah. So, That's a very rushed, I guess, version of how I got to that, the sound I'm working with right now,
Yes. And how did you end up here? Because you live in Rotterdam?
Yeah, I live in Rotterdam.
And how did you go from Scotland to Rotterdam?
I was looking around because I traveled a bit with my brother after I finished school, and then we went back to Scotland, and I sort of like lived in the council estate with my parents just outside of Glasgow, because my family was like in a pretty like broke phase of our life, I guess. And I was looking around. I wanted to go study art, basically.
Yeah.
That was the deal. I wanted to study art, and I was looking at schools like Glasgow School of Art and Dundee, where I could, just about facilitate it. And then I saw that in the Netherlands, at least before Brexit, I could come over here and I could study and get, support from the government, because I needed that financially. So I went to do these interviews in these different schools for getting in, and I came to one here in the Netherlands and was like, the vibe was there. I was here in May, the weather was already way better than what it was in Scotland at the time, and like for me that is kind of everything. Imagine. That's like everything, the sunshine. So yeah, I was like, fuck it, let's go. And there was also a friend from growing up in Tanzania that lived here, so a bunch of friends, to be honest with you, like that I grew up with in Tanzania were here as well. And it sort of just feels like the Netherlands is kind of like it feels like the nucleus of Europe in a sense, like it's not quite Berlin, and it's not quite London, but it's right in the middle of everything, yes. Rome, Berlin, London, like I feel like it's in the middle of everything. So it just feels like a very and I guess I fell in love with the vibe out here as well. Just the fact that everyone can speak English.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe. Yeah. Like everyone's chill. Everyone speaks English. There's a lot of cool, creative people doing shit here. Yeah, and I came over for school, and then I graduated, and I wanted to stay, but I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't in Rotterdam then, but I moved to Rotterdam because Rotterdam seemed like a vibe to me. Like I actually moved to Rotterdam for the purpose of like shooting music videos.
Yes.
Because it's like the way it looks is just bizarre, because it's got the old school, classic Netherlands vibe in some of the architecture, but obviously it got bombed in the war, so they rebuilt it modern, and like the modern buildings, they just have like this strange, almost like cyberpunk quality. So I wanted to go there and shoot, video basically. So that's why I settled on Rotterdam, and it's kind of like the underdog city,
Yes.
to Amsterdam, and it's kind of like Glasgow's the underdog city to Edinburgh in Scotland. So I was like, more
nice.
Industrial sort of, I guess, working class origins city, that I went for in the end there. So that's where I'm at right now, and I'm just making up my mind. It's been like 7 years here in the Netherlands. So
shit, you were here for 7 years.
Yeah, something like 6 years, probably more like 6 or it's
nice
between.
One.
Yeah, it's like 5, 6, or 7. My math is terrible. Like I feel like I'm number dyslexia. Date dyslexia, number dyslexia. It's always a bit shaky. Yeah.
And when I was looking on Spotify, the oldest song that I could find from you was like from 2023.
Yeah.
But is that also like when you started with music, or did you start like way earlier?
I started taking music more seriously in like 2021, but I always made music for fun since like 2012, something like that. As a kid, in Tanzania, growing up, I sort of I made music with my friends. That was my introduction to music, because I basically went from like my parents would listen to like classic shit like Bob Marley, Nina Simone, Lou Reed, Leonard Cohen, stuff like that in the car. But they were like, I never had a musical family, you know what I mean? Like no one played instruments, my dad never really listened to music unless he was like drunk, and then he would put like reggae on or like dub music, like my mom listened to quite a lot, but we were never like the type of family that, played music a lot. But then I sort of, I did homeschooling for the longest period, and then like when I reintegrated with other kids my age in school, I got introduced to like hip hop. I got introduced to like Lil Wayne and shit. And then that's when I started to really like rap with like Lil Wayne, sort of like, I think he was in the middle of his career, like before he sort of, stopped doing so much, but like at the peak of his career, I was listening, and he like, just the way he used words was really sick to me as a kid, and I was like, this is fire. And then I started to write with my friend from Tanzania called Graham, shout out him. We started to write music together, sort of with that classic kiddish dream of doing music as a full-time thing and living off that, you know.
But then was it already like in the punk genre, or was it like?
No, we did like alternative. We did like basically like conscious hip hop, basically.
Oh shit!
So like Kendrick Lamar type shit, you know, like trying to, or at least trying to like write from that kind of like place of like really detailed storytelling, hip hop shit, and then like my sort of approach to music is boiled down, and I tried like infusing. Because I started to make trap metal, like in 2021, I made like trap metal-ish stuff. I wouldn't really call it that even. It was more like Death Grips, you know, like digital hardcore type shit. Like that's what I started with, like super like screaming sort of ragey shit. You know,
Scarlord type stuff.
Yeah,
Ghost
but like
Main?
like that. Yeah, like Scarlord,
Amazing.
Ghost Main, yeah. But then I saw how. Yeah, like more alternative and sort of rock-based genres could infuse into hip-hop well, but then like I guess sort of went from that into like more just making punk rock fully, you know what I mean? But like maybe approaching songwriting more from like a left field rap sort of place, you know what I mean? Of yes, bars, you know, like crazy, like the each line has like multiple meanings, and that the songwriting sort of the storytelling is there, but then performed like as punk rock. So that's how you get a song like Gatekeeper, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So can you like show us how a session of you looks like when you create a song?
Yeah, I could do my best to like reiterate it. For me, it's like really, for me, music has always been really collaborative in the sense that I really like to work with producers, and I've always been more of a songwriter and lyricist first and foremost, working with other producers. But at the end of the day, I think the best songs, like one like Gatekeeper, for instance, comes when a producer has sent me a beat, or you know, I found a producer I like, they've given me a beat, and then I'm sitting there writing, and I'm just recording the demo right there and then, and like I'm just writing as I go and sort of like making the whole song in 20 minutes. Like Gatekeeper as a raw gem or whatever, like that was done in 20 minutes. Like everything that makes that song what it is was done in 20 minutes and then sort of like fleshed out over time. So it basically looks like me sort of sitting in a room blasting the beat on repeat and sort of just coming up with each section and, you know, recording it so it's there, so I can move on to the next part, and then I'll basically like build up a song like that, and then I'll sit with the demo version for some weeks and listen to it and be like, does the story make sense? Does the, you know, what I'm trying to convey with this song, does that make sense? Does that translate? Is it as simple as it can be? You know, like for me, it's really important that it's simple in the sense of like that anyone can really feel what it's about without really reading into it, you know what I mean? You
and
know?
then when you wrote the lyrics, were you at home or do you write in the studio?
I have home studio set
You have
up.
home studio?
I've always been like that kid, like a bedroom artist, you know, type shit.
So amazing. And what like DAW do you use?
I use Logic.
Logic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I always just had Macs kicking around, you know, not because like just because my parents used them and stuff. So never been like, I've always had a Windows, but I never really used my Windows to like do recording and stuff. Like I had producer friends that all used FL, but for me, it always felt like growing up, FL was very much like the Windows one, you know, but it's not like that. It's like Ableton's multi, but Logic is just isolated to Apple, so.
And did you ever try to record in Pro Tools?
I did, yeah. I mean, I worked with producers in Tanzania, actually, that had Pro Tools, you know, like, and quite often when I go to the studio, like I'm recording with my band Lsgatekeeper, like we recorded in Pro Tools in the studio in Rotterdam. And like a dude that has full analog gear. It sounds, I can't wait for everyone to hear that. Like we're gonna make a new Spotify profile for Lsgatekeeper for the band, you know, like because.
So you're like individual artist like Lui Surreal, but also you're in a band.
Yeah, so it's a bit confusing. It's just how the cookie crumbled, as they say, in like, I don't even know, America, I guess they say that, but like, we fucking, the band started last year as like a way of playing the songs I was making solo live for people. That's how it started, and Started with my homie Jay Carmi, who's like the guitarist in the band Lsgatekeeper.
Yes.
Me and him sort of like working out how live guitar would go for it. And then my friend Joris, who used to be my captain at Gorillas, you know, the delivery company. Do you remember? In COVID, Gorillas. So in COVID, I worked at Gorillas delivering food. And Joris was my captain, like my manager or whatever. And yeah, then he became my bassist. He started as the drummer, nice. Actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we, Lubith Basamo, fucking sort of legend in Rotterdam. He makes like post-punk, shoegaze type stuff. I knew him the longest, I think, because he booked me for a show with my old band, Lui Surreal, and yeah, he was on guitar initially, and we played the show at Oki. So it was all to play the show Oki. We wanted to do like a live band version, see how it sounded, and it went pretty well. But then after that, Lubith was busy with his own project because he's got like a fully fledged, you know, solo project of his own going. So he's like really busy all the time. So we needed to like rearrange stuff. So then Bobby Boycott from Amsterdam. Amsterdam's very, you know, Snack Bar, the band. Do you know Snack Bar?
No.
They're a sick sort of semi-hardcore punk rock band from Amsterdam. Floor is the front woman, I think, you know, and they're sick. But like, Bobby was drumming for them, and then, you know, he left, and then he was looking for something else to join, and me and him were homies already, so he joined as drummer in what was Lui Surreal and the Gatekeepers initially. You know, it was like sort of that sort of thing. Then we started to rehearse more and more. We became more of a unit. And we were like, wouldn't it be cool if we started to write songs together, the four of us, you know, instead of this just being playing Louis' music, you know what I mean? So we started to dissolve the ego a bit more and make it less about me and more about us as a collective. And then Lsgatekeeper became like, it was a shortened version of Lui Surreal and the Gatekeepers, you know, we made it hardcore, like the name. We were like, fuck it, what would a hardcore band, you know, do? So we like compressed it to Lsgatekeeper, and then all of a sudden, boom, one thing to another, it became a thing of its own, you know, and we started to write songs together. So we've got about 3 or 4 songs that we've written together, but also versions of the Lui Surreal catalog as live band interpretations. So they're actually in different keys, different BPMs, but they're the same song. So you got like Gatekeeper, but like a full band version rather than a DAW version. And you got 777, SOS, Disarray. Like those are all going to come out soon as live band versions on the Lsgatekeeper profile. So I can imagine, for me as a listener, if I imagine trying to follow that, it would be too ADHD and confusing. You know, like I'm ADHD as fuck, so like it's like a whole new artist doing versions of my song, like of the Lui Surreal songs, but then also their own songs. So it's just becoming that way where it's like maybe a bit hard to follow, but it's all still Lui Surreal at the same time. Like, but also it's not, because it's got its own song. So Lsgatekeeper, Lui Surreal for now are kind of the same thing, but we'll go in different directions. So now when I play as Lui Surreal, it's kind of more like in the club, you know what I mean? Like DJ mic setup in the club. I'm slowly adding more. Like I want to have live guitar, digital beats, you know, performers. That's all slowly coming together, you know what I mean? But they're becoming 2 separate things, but I'm happy about that as well, because the songs we're writing as a band, it's a totally new way of songwriting for me, but it's also not, you know? It's like, it's so present moment because the boys are like literally drumming out a section, and that's the first time it's being drummed out, you know? And it's not even recorded. It's just like, it relies on their memory for it to function. It'll be slightly different every time. And it's just something super sick about it. And the songs come so like that, you know? Like it's almost even, they come even easier than writing with beats, you know? But truth of the matter is like they're both parts of me, and I want to keep them both alive. So
nice.
I'm just gonna be focused on those, you know.
But that's one thing what I like from like bands when they play live. It's most of the time a little bit different than like the song that you know. But for example, when I listen to rap music, you don't really have that. No. When you have the song you know, and then when they perform, it's like exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I feel this is sometimes a little bit boring.
Yeah.
And then when I go to like live shows from like punk bands or other bands, and they play a little bit different stuff, I'm like, whoa, this is so creative, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I really like that. Yeah. And do you have also like a favorite punk artist or punk band or something like that?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I'd say like my favorite stuff, like when you speak about like, for me, my favorite stuff that embodies the ethos of punk, like as I see it, is actually modern day stuff. So like 90s into modern day, like although the Prodigy aren't a punk band, they had a lot of the ethos of punk, you know. Keith Flint had a lot of that punk energy and style. Or bands like Horror. Do you know Horror? Like
No.
HO9909, they're like an LA based, they're very much like a punk band, but you know, it's just like these two dreadhead dudes going fucking hard. And it's punk, it's punk rock, like it is punk rock. Also like me, there's elements of hip hop, but like the predominant vibe of the band is punk rock, you know what I mean? So like Horror are big for me. Nate, do you know Nate No Face?
No.
He's like this 40-year-old dude from LA. I think he's like Mexican heritage, but like he's got a mustache and he's bald. He's got this iconic style to him, and it's just very much like him, a microphone, synth punk sort of vibes. Very sick, very raw. So like Nate No Face and Horror are big for me. They have a song together called Punk Police, which is basically about trying to police what punk is like the least punk thing you can do. You know what I mean? So it's like, you'll get so many people on like somewhere like TikTok being like, this isn't punk, you know what I mean? But like, they should just listen to that song, because I feel like trying to police what it is like the least punk thing ever.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And what is punk for you?
Yeah. For me, it's sort of like, in a way, it's doing whatever the fuck you want, but it's doing whatever the fuck you want for the greater good of humanity. You know what I mean? That's what I feel. So it's like anti-oppression. It's like anti-status quo. It's for the liberation of all oppressed people. But, you know, in turn, it is sort of an act for yourself. You know, you're resisting. It's an act of resistance for me. You know what I mean? Like at the core of the culture, it's an act of resistance. I think that's what it was back when, you know, like I can't speak too much to like the American side of punk rock when it was coming up, but in the UK, you know, like Sex Pistols era of rock, you know, like they were just the umbrella band for like so many sick bands, but like it was very much this resistance to like what was happening in the government then, you know, like to Thatcher and like the fucked up legislations that they were trying to impose. So the realist time for something like punk to return is like a moment like now, dude, where you've got like fascism on the rise across the world, you know, like Trump, shit like that, you know, but like there's a little Trump in every, like this country has its own little Trump, right? You know, like
so
Geert Wilders and shit, you know, like it's really like we need a resistance as a people, and that I feel it shifting, you know, I feel like people are coming together, especially like the younger kids, like I feel like they're pissed off, they're like, what the fuck is with the situation of power, you know, like why are the people in power, you know, so hateful basically and so like oppressive, you know, like, people like Elon Musk and shit, it's just like you know, they hate on marginalized people very obviously, you know, like because I feel like punk back when was also like at the core anti-fascist, you know.
100% for sure, man.
Yeah. And I embody that very much as well. Like, or try to do my best to as well. It's like lifelong work, you know what I mean? It's lifelong work to be anti-oppression, but someone's got to do it. Like we all got to do it, and so it's about unity, but also like doing whatever the fuck you want. By doing right by others, you know what I mean? Not doing whatever the fuck you want as if it's harming others, but like if it's fighting for everyone, then fuck yeah, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That type of shit. Yeah.
And do you remember like the first time you performed on stage?
Yeah. I performed in Tanzania. Like I remember I really wanted to perform, and I was speaking to these guys I was recording a record with at the time, and they weren't exactly like. They weren't my homies, but they were like professionals that I was working with down the road who were really excited about what I was doing, you know, like, and then we found this like, we found a reggae festival through friends there, like through the friends of the studio, and I became homies with them, and then we sort of like, I opened for these like reggae legends from like fucking Jamaica that had come over to tour in Tanzania.
What?
Yeah, and I remember like fucking jumping in the air, like I was basically playing like I had like these left field trappy songs. They were like high energy, but they were also kind of slow, and they were like bassy, you know, like 808s, like heavy 808 shit. And I remember like jumping up in the air in the middle of the song and then like losing balance the minute I hit the ground and like just rolling. And just like from my first performance ever, it was already, it already had that like loose ass unhinged, like punky energy of just being like, yeah. Like I gave a fuck back then in my first performance. I was like, oh my God, I fell. How could I, I fucked up the whole performance. But then I remember speaking to friends after and they were like, no, that was like the coolest part. And then I was like, oh shit. And then sort of, that became a big part of my performance, was just like embracing the technical difficulties, but also the fuck ups that innately happen, you know? Yeah. And that became, I think that performance is very true to like, what I still do today, you know?
Yes.
Like I wouldn't say I have stage, like sometimes I feel a bit nervous, but I don't really have much of a stage fright anymore, just because maybe I'm too laid back when I go into it, you know, maybe I should have more stage fright, but like performing is just like not so different to just talking to you right now, like an everyday interaction, you know, it's just like, whatever, let's go. You know, sometimes I feel a bit shy interacting with people when I'm performing, but the best performances are when, it just feels like this and it's chill and it's just whatever, you know, it's just like talking to my friends, but I've got a mic and, you know, I'm raging. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And like when I tattoo my customers, they always ask like, what's the craziest tattoo experience you have, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, what's the craziest experience you have when you had a performance?
Oh, fuck. There's so many.
There's so many. That's the proper answer. There's so many.
There's so many. I mean, last week, a couple of weeks ago, I was doing this performance in Worm in Rotterdam, and there was this big like it was like a performance art night, you know, because like a lot of my, like I'm also a trained visual artist, you know, like I didn't study music, I studied visual art, you know, so I very much went into the realms of performance art, Dadaism, Surrealism, hence like the Lui Surreal sort of name, but they would do like very batshit insane performances in Dadaism and early Surrealism. So like quite often my performances go that direction. And like what happened at Worm was my friend Carla had performed before I arrived, and she had, the theme of the night was cream for whatever reason. You know, Worm is a crazy punky place of its own, but like the theme was cream. So Carla had made this whole like dinner table, like, you know, banquet table where there was like, you know, the cloth that looked kind of fancy, there was candles, there was like flowers, and like all these strange creamy dishes, mayo, all sorts of stuff that looked like that. And there was like these big tubes above the table and chains that people could like squeeze mayo out of and stuff and cream. And basically I spoke to her before the performance. I was like, is it cool if I like integrate this into my performance, you know? And she's like, yeah, chill, like let's go, like do whatever you want. So yeah, in the middle of my performance, it's in this big theater room. It's not per se like a venue, you know, it's like in this big open space. The audience is around me in a circle. They're not like in front of me and I'm in front of them, but it's more like they're in a circle. And at one point in my performance, I'll like jump up on the table, you know, and I'm like kicking off all this shit and it's flying everywhere. And I'm like grabbing the tubes and like sauce is spraying everywhere.
Oh, shit.
And then I jump onto the ground and I'm like doing stuff, engaging everyone. And then I crawl onto the table at the end of that track. I think it was Gatekeeper, I was doing that. And then I crawl on the table halfway through the next song, and it's more like this industrial sort of atmospheric, sort of almost like ambient song where I'm like storytelling about how I used to black out as a teenager all the time. And then I get to the end of the song and I'm like lying on the table, and then I just like ask the audience on the mic, like, it is your turn to perform. And then like everyone starts coming up and just like squeezing this shit, covering my entire body in like this, like, I don't even know, mayo, cream, all this different shit. And that was it's just so, like, that was such a trippy one that like, there was no plan to do any of that before arriving at the space. But then you arrive at the space and I try to stay present as much as I can. And then these ideas just pop up, you know, and like, then for the rest of the performance, I'm just covered in whatever the fuck this liquid is, you know. But like, I like to engage my audience as much as possible. I like for there not to be like, I'm the performer and the artist and you're the audience and you're here to watch me, but more like that the audience is also part of it. Like that's a big thing I took from performance in the realm of visual art, is to try and break that wall, the fourth wall as they call it, between like performer and audience, you know. So yeah, that was hectic.
Nice,
that was a
nice.
good one. And then the next weekend I was seeing Lord Spikeheart at fucking Rewire Festival because my partner was performing at Rewire, so I went to support her. And then I saw Lord Spikeheart was performing, and he's from Kenya, and he's like he makes like electronic death metal, but it's like very left field, almost ambient music at the same time.
Wow,
so,
that sounds very creative.
Yeah, it's very, and he's from Kenya. And when I grew up in like Tanzania is right next to Kenya in East Africa, and when I grew up out there was nothing like I couldn't trace like, especially metal, something like metal. For me, metal is such a northern northern hemisphere sort of sound or genre for me. So when I heard about Lord Spikeheart and Duma and stuff, I was like, holy shit, like, this was like a year or more ago. I was like, holy shit. And this was just like an artist I was really psyched about. And he's playing like all these big festivals, London, Berlin. And then I finally got to see him at Rewire, and boom, bada bing, I'm in the pit with my New Rocks on for like, I got New Rocks recently for the first time, and they're like platform boots. I got like 1.5 inches on the bottom of them. And I was just like, because any other show of an artist I really fuck with that has mosh pits, I'm going to jump in the pit, you know? So I was just like, I basically started the pit with my friend Waza in Lord Spikeheart, like from the second song. And like, yeah, we were just going off. And like, then at one point, like 20 minutes into the pit, like one of the craziest pits I've ever been in, honestly, like,
Wow.
like some tall Dutch kid, as you do, you shove, you know? But like, he shoved, and I like, went onto one leg, and like, since I had these platforms on and I wasn't used to them, I had this whole extra layer from the ground, and the boot was sort of like anchoring me to the ground, so I just sort of like rolled my left ankle. That's why I have these shits. But you know, I damaged my ankles a bunch as a kid. Like, it's probably not even so bad that I need crutches, that's what the doctor said, but since I damaged both my ankles as a teenager so much from getting fucked up and stuff, I was just like, yeah, might as well wear crutches so it heals properly, you know. Don't want like early onset arthritis, especially as a performer, when you gotta swing off shit and jump around all the time for the rest of your life.
And still you managed to come to the podcast.
Yeah. Hardcore.
Nice
shit.
one, hardcore. Man. And in the meantime, I'm also live on TikTok.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that we have from the viewers now is, what is the best place that you have performed until now?
Yeah, well, that's a hard question. I really enjoyed, like, I think last Friday I performed with Lsgatekeeper at Slachthuis in Haarlem. And like, I'd heard so much about this venue from like the alternative sphere here in the Netherlands, but never spent a day in Haarlem really.
Yeah.
I'd spent a night there once, but like never a day. So I'd heard so much about this venue, heard it was the best like post-punk, punk rock venue there is in the Netherlands. And I pulled up and it was such a vibe, dude. Like, I don't know if have you been there, Slachthuis?
Man, I wanted to go when you were performing, but I couldn't because I was working.
Yeah, all busy.
But no, I haven't been. But like a lot of my friends went there, and everybody tells me the same story.
Yeah. But also fucking, I really in London is fucking sick to perform, but like Brighton and Bristol in England. Also Glasgow, like where I'm from, Glasgow, Scotland, that's a wild fucking, people go so crazy there, you know, like people go so hard. But also like we had with my old band Lose a Cult, we had like, which is still attached to my Spotify, like a lot of the songs you'll see on my Spotify are Lose a Cult x Lui Surreal, because like Az and I, we had this setup where it was connected to all of our accounts, so like, but yeah, performing in Brighton was wild because we played at this venue that had like, the kid who booked it was from Brighton and he's quite young, and Trishik, shout out them, but like they chose a venue and they didn't do some like, also ADHD, neurodivergent gang, but like they didn't do much checking, and turns out the venue's speakers were broken.
What?
So we pull up to this venue on the day, we did a mini tour, and we pull up to this venue on the day, and like, the speakers were broken, but like there was quite a lot of people in Brighton that were psyched to see us perform, and we had like quite a crazy lineup with like Velas the Menace, Pezhead and shit, like all these underground legends in the UK. But the speakers were fucked, and we always agreed to do it anyway, you know, and it's like this tiny basement,
Wow.
maybe about the size of this room, even smaller, like this half of the room maybe, and then like busted ass speakers, and a venue that's kind of like pissed off with everyone because we, like, at least we weren't so much, but the organizers were like really angry at like the venue for not saying so on email or something, which is fair, but it was just like a situation where the venue didn't get much for hosting, so they didn't feel an obligation to be all professional because they weren't actually getting any money from it, you know, they just wanted to host things. So yeah, it was a crazy energy. People were going so hard despite these speakers being broken. It's just like, you know, mics and a DJ set up, but you know, everyone's just sort of like almost pitting, but it's a tiny room packed with people, so it's just like yeah. So Brighton was a fucking vibe. Shout out that place. It's also got bad juju in a way as a city, you know, like just like fuckeries like are left, right, and center. So it's just like, it's a strange place. It's like beautiful. It's kind of like The Hague, like for me here, you know, like for me The Hague is like, it's like a beautiful town, but like bad juju, you know what I mean? Like there's bad juju in the air, and like Brighton is also like that very beautiful seaside town in England, but bad juju. Yeah.
And do you notice any difference when you like perform in different countries?
Certainly, yeah. I mean, I'm just starting to perform outside the Netherlands and the UK, so I'm really excited, like, see how Indonesia is, because I know the punk scene out there is fucking crazy, actually.
Oh man.
It's a lot of resistance to the government, because the government does fuck shit out there, so, I mean, as they do everywhere, but I mean, active resistance, so I'm really excited to see that. And
punk scene there's huge.
Yeah. Have you seen the fucking, even on TikTok, there's like some TikTok videos of the Indonesian punk scene, because like, yeah, shit looks mad.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their hair up, everyone's got the fucking spiked leathers. I'm like, damn, y'all really bringing it right back.
Yeah, man.
Also, Germany, I'm really excited to play, because once again, you got a fascist government that's pulling some fuck shit, I feel. Or less so, I mean, I can't say that for sure, but it's just like, just the response to what's happening in Gaza and Palestine in Germany felt very much like working backwards from their history, you know? Like, they shut down. Like, to protest, to say Free Palestine was like, you know, was not was seen by the government as like almost like an act of terrorism, which to me is just insane. You know, like, you got this population literally getting killed, innocent population getting killed, and then, Free Palestine for real. But yeah, I mean, that's like, to see that politically occurring in Germany. I'm very excited to see like what the leftists, what the punk folk are doing there on the ground. So like, I'm psyched to play these shows in Germany, because also on TikTok there's been like a lot of people from Germany showing a lot of love for what I do and always asking like, when are you coming? So yeah, I'm just psyched to see how, because I've heard Germans get down in the pit, you know, like I've heard the German shows get down, so I'm just psyched to build something out there as well, because I've only been to Germany once. I went to Berlin and I loved the vibe. They always say Berlin is not like the rest of Germany, but I'm just curious to see how it is.
Are you going Frankfurt?
Not yet, no.
You should go Frankfurt.
We've got regional shows for now. We're also going to Belgium next month. I forgot about that entirely. We're going to Belgium as well for the first time. This is like more Lsgatekeeper, Lui Surreal, and the Gatekeeper still, because my agent, wants it to be more Lui Surreal vibes, because it makes sense with everything that I've set up. But at the end of the day, I'm just doing my own chaotic circus shit. We are doing that, you know, it's just, it is what it is. But I really just want to play, I want to play all over Europe to begin with. Really want to play like Poland. Really want to set stuff up Romania. Really want to play in Italy, France. Yeah, there's just so many places I want to go to.
There are lots of places. Yeah.
So we're just manifesting. You know? That's what we're doing.
Speaking into existence.
Yeah.
And another question that we've had from TikTok Live is, do you have any ritual, like before you perform? Do you have like a rider, or you do some like every time before you go perform, you do like the same stuff, or you do none of that?
Well, I've noticed like, it's very unconscious how I do it, but like I like to, no matter whether it's the band or with the electronic setup, I like to have some sort of sound occurring. So it's the band playing, or even with no sound, you just like basically stand there or sit there in the space and sort of just like feel out the energy of the room, and sort of, so quite often like circle, you know, like yeah, you circle in the space and feel out the vibe, and then you'll notice that people just automatically start to then surround you, you know what I mean? Like the people start to show up and pull up, and just like, that happens nearly every time I play, you know? Like I sort of step into the light and sort of like draw everyone together. I'd say that's the closest thing to like a ritual that happens every time, no matter what. And sometimes it takes on different forms, you know? Like sometimes I'll have my mic already and I'll, you know, like make strange sounds, or I'll like, you know, say some words. And like, if you've been to one of my shows, just like my banter with the crowd between tracks is always just like, it's so unhinged. And like, I have a totally different persona to how I am now quite often as well. And yeah, that's the closest thing I have to a ritual, is just that sort of like circular summoning thing, you know?
Nice one.
Yeah, that's a big one, yeah.
And what's your favorite movie?
Damn. That's really hard right now off top. This is gonna sound like some real like classic edgelord shit, but like I don't identify with being an edgelord at all. I just think it's a really good movie. But like Fight Club, I love. Hey! I always love Fight Club.
Bro, I have thought to a Fight Club.
Nice, fuck yeah.
Marla Singer.
My G.
Oh shit.
Marla Singer, okay, yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, she's a legend.
Slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, Fight Club is the best movie, man.
Yeah. It's crazy that the director never made anything like that again. It's so unfortunate, you know what
bro,
I mean?
did you read the book?
No, I didn't. I should though.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And okay, wait. I have a conspiracy theory about Fight Club.
Yeah.
And I want your opinion about it. You know.
Yeah.
Marla Singer is in Edward Norton's head.
Yeah.
Yes or no? She's also like imaginary. That's like what I like to believe. In my opinion, it makes the movie even better. But like Fight Club, oh yeah.
She totally could be. Now that you say it, she totally could be. There's no reason. There's nothing backing up the fact that she's real either. When you really think about it.
Yeah, because also always when you see like Brad Pitt.
Yeah. No one else is really acknowledging him, like any of the guys in the Fight Club.
Yeah, but also like Edward Norton only sees Brad Pitt or sees Marla Singer.
Yeah.
But never like the two together at the same time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
And
because the doors close in the crack house.
Yeah.
The doors are like closed.
Exactly.
And then yeah.
And also in the beginning of the movie, Edward Norton tells her something like something bad, like fuck off or something. And then she said like, I see you practicing this. Is it going as well as you hoped?
Yeah.
And then I was like, maybe she's like also in his head. And then that's why she said, I saw you practicing this. Like that was also a bit weird. But
totally.
I don't know. That's like my personal conspiracy theory about Fight Club.
I love that. Yeah, that's a really good conspiracy. I don't know how. That's probably like if you dive into the lore online, there's probably people ask that. But yeah, I really hope they don't remake that movie or make a part 2. That would suck. That's
I think
cult classic for life.
There is a Fight Club 2. Like there is a second book.
Yeah.
But as far as the movie goes, they should never touch that movie again.
Yeah.
Amazing, man.
But also, it's so bizarre to me when you really think about it. Like he built this whole cult in a way to not really do anything apart from just fight each other, and then he goes and like blows up the banks or whatever by himself. Like if like Tyler Durden isn't a character and she isn't a character, then you know it's just him alone really blowing up these banks. You know?
Like he couldn't take it anymore. Like the normal like life.
Unless they're implying that the cultists in the Fight Club, the club members, are the ones that set the bombs.
No, I think he did everything himself.
Yeah,
exactly. For sure.
Maybe also all the people in the Fight Club were imaginary as well. You know?
Whoa, it's like next level. Wow.
But yeah, that's always been a really big one for me. I feel there's so many like I love cinema. You know, there's so many. Yeah, there's so many great movies. You know, like I also like in recent history I like Gaspar Noé and like fucking. Like he's got movies like Enter the Void and Climax and Irreversible, always really fucked up movies, but genius cinematography and stuff. And then also, what's his name again? Yeah, Robert Eggers, like the guy that made Nosferatu, for instance. You know, like The Witch, The Lighthouse, Nosferatu and stuff. So I'm always a fan of like pop classic shit. You know what I mean? Like shit that is. It's a classic, you know, like it's very popular, but it's also like a classic, you know, because there's certain stuff that's popular, but it's really cringe, like Marvel movies for me. Bro. And like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then there's also pop and cult classic at the same time.
Man.
Like Lady Gaga, for instance, you know, like kind of for me legendary, but like also still so popular, but like so classic, you know. Whereas like, I don't know, yeah, trying to think like Katy Perry, very popular but not cult classic, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, as a comparison of like same time period.
Also,
Probably not the best example, but yeah.
Also, last time I had a discussion with a girl, she was like, "Oh, there is like Marvel movies and DC movies. Then you have like Spider-Man, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "I like Fight Club." And then I think like, how can you? I don't know. You know, it's like so like superficial movies. And then you have like The Matrix, Fight Club. You have the movies that go so like super deep. You know. And then they're like, "Oh, I just want to watch like Wolverine."
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I love like cult classic movies, art house movies. Yeah, I try to like. I feel like I've watched so many films that like when I'm really asked this question, I can't even think anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's so many good ones as well.
Yeah, man.
You know, yeah.
Also, one that I really like is Pulp Fiction.
Classic, yeah.
Even though that's like that doesn't really make you think and stuff, it's still like a really good movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, Tarantino's this guy that's like, he's like, it seems like an asshole as a person, but like the art that he's made, it's really hard to like knock him because nearly every film has been a banger.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think Django Unchained, crazy movie. Like all his newer movies. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it could have been better, my opinion, but it was also quite a good movie. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, he's got bangers, bare bangers.
And how do you feel about people that like make their own punk clothing?
Yeah.
But the things that they need to make it, for example, the studs and stuff, they come from like AliExpress or Amazon, and then you have people saying that, like, when you really make your own punk clothing, you don't go to these websites and blah 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 blah. You agree or you don't agree? Like, how do you feel about that? Is that like too much punk policing?
Well, I get where they're coming from because like at the end of the day, the politics stand out, you know, like it's spot on. They're right, you know. I think companies like Amazon and AliExpress are fucked up, you know. I think we really have to be critical, you know what I mean? I think we have to be critical about the state of the world and like how fucked things are, like how much capitalism has gotten crazy, you know, like it's just like capitalism is so obsessed with profit that like it will tear up the world when there's no world left, you know. It'll still be like a machine ripping up the dead, the scorched earth, you know what I mean? Wow. Like, you know, that's how it feels sometimes, like on some Terminator shit or something, you know?
Name it.
Yeah, but it's like, I kind of agree with them on one hand, to be honest, because like for what I haven't begun to produce merch yet, but when I do, I kind of want it to be done the right way for me, because like, for instance, I rarely ever buy clothes. If I do, it's from the Kringloop, and it's like, you know, like, or someone gives me them. And then I like typically draw all over this shit, you know what I mean? Like these a friend gave to me, and they're Tommy Hilfigers, you know, shitty company, but like really good quality clothing, you know, and then I draw all over them with fabric marker. And then this, you know, paint it, like this is a leather jacket I got at the Kringloop. I'll just show it, but like, you know, paint all over it. Like a mix of like leather paint and like fucking and markers,
gateway drug,
acrylic markers, yeah. But this is the title. Love is a Gateway Drug is like the title of my debut, like the debut Lui Surreal sort of mixtape that I'm working on right now.
Ah, nice.
Like Gatekeeper is a single for that. 777 SOS is a single. Disarray, X-Rated, they're all singles for that project. So he's working on finishing it right now, like literally on the train mixing the shit. You know what I mean?
You're mixing it yourself?
Yeah. Whoa. On the train mixing it.
Wow.
Where I can, I get my friends to help, but like my friends are all doing their own music shit, so you know, like I'm mixing mostly myself. Yeah.
Do you put reverb on the bass?
No, typically not.
Oh yeah. No. New.
I do try to like. On the bass, with the bass, I try to not touch it too much, but like if I do distort saturate it, I try to like make sure it's only on like the mid to high end.
Yeah.
So like
Nice one.
Yeah. I definitely sort of sidechain. Like my mixing knowledge it's pretty damn good, but it could always be way better, you know? Like I still haven't reached that sort of spacious, wide open mix I dream of, you know, but like it's good for me, and I spend fucking hours on every song that y'all hear on Spotify. You can assume that like 100+ hours is being spent on it, because sadly I'm still super like perfectionist with my shit. I wish it was a bit more like, y'all can have it every month, you know, come on. But like for me, it's like every song has to be like really worked on.
But it really takes a lot of time. Like people really underestimate that.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Because music is just like, it's one of those things where it's invisible. Most of the process is invisible. A lot of people, especially those that don't practice making music themselves from scratch, they can't imagine what the process is like, but they can imagine it's just like singing and playing a little guitar melody into a mic maybe, and like not much more, you know, but there's so many more layers to making something sound sick, you know, like, yeah, it's a process that can take literal years, you know, like I've been working on this mixtape for years, like 2 years or something. So I'm going to release it in like 2 parts, I think. First, I'm going to drop some more collabs with my friends from across the world on Spotify. Like May 7th, I got a collab coming with my friend from Australia, Kai Cult, fucking legend. And then after that, I want to drop a collab with friends from Switzerland, Long Sleeve and the Weird Boys. Fucking
Oh
sick.
shit, Mr. International in the building.
Yeah.
Nice
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Shout out Pitbull for real.
Yeah,
but yeah, like that's what we're working on. And then when I drop those collabs, they're gonna be separate from the mixtape. But then after that, I'm full back to like music videos, giving y'all what you need. And I'm just going to continue to push Gatekeeper because I find just more and more people just fucking love that song, you know? So it's like, I might as well use that to grow because being a musician is hard, you know? So I might as well keep pushing Gatekeeper.
Yeah,
I've got more songs like Gatekeeper on the album,
Yeah.
but I'm also showing what else I have in me, you know? Like what else is part of me? Like X-Rated is totally different. It's more like my sort of digital hardcore trap metal-y roots, you know? Like you could say X-Rated is more like a punk version of what Scarlord does, I guess. You know, it's got like that... Because Outrage produced it, like shout out to Outrage. He's like he's now become like this sort of gabber hard techno superstar in a way, like with the production. But shout out him, super sick producer. And he did the X-Rated beat. Like I gave him stems of what I was working on, and then he reworked it. We sat in the studio and he reworked it. And he actually blew up one of my speakers when we were making it. But like X-Rated, that's a fucking... If you haven't seen the music video for that one, it's underappreciated on YouTube. It's not even out of K views yet, so it's still super cult underground shit. But like that song and that track and that video need more appreciation, I feel.
And do you know the story about Fetty Wap, the rapper?
Yeah, I love.
Like
Fetty Wap,
he had like what was the name of the song, like Trap Queen?
Yeah.
And then he promoted Trap Queen for 1 year straight. He made no other song.
Yeah.
And then after 1 year, it like catched on, and then he started making other songs.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So
and then he went to jail. Unfortunately, shout out him. Like yeah.
Oh
but,
shit.
Like,
That I didn't even know.
But that's why he would have been super famous right now. I think if he hadn't gone to jail. But like, yeah. Shout out Fetty Wap for real.
No, but that's like what I feel like. If you want to push like Gatekeeper, you can do that, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, especially I feel like if you're an artist and people don't know you, you can just use the song to get like new snowball, you know.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
you know, like I promote like every new song for like a couple weeks, and then I'm like, let's go back to Gatekeeper. You know, it was so much easier. People were just like, people were connecting with it so much easier. And I find like on the apps like this, you know, like as a user and producer of content on this app, it's like people are really like, they just need that immediate hit. They need that immediate dopamine hit, or they're just gonna scroll, you know. And it's like, not that we should ever make music for this app. I just found that my newer songs that I push out, like, it's just like, it takes a second to get started. People are like, you know, there's just like they connect with it. They connect with Gatekeeper super easily. But those other, like, I think it takes, maybe they're not simple enough. You remember I spoke about songs being simple enough, you know? But they're great songs. They're just as good as Gatekeeper to me, you know, and I'm going to continue to putting out whatever the fuck I want to put out. But like at the end of the day, if Gatekeeper's a hit, it's a hit, and it should be treated as such, you know?
Yeah, man. I agree.
Yeah.
And what was your first tattoo?
Fuck, yeah. It might well have been that ankle, but it's like this one right here. It's quite like a scratcher's stick and poke. It was like in my friend's living room. Yeah. And my friend, I believe she was called Tegan. There's like this girl I met one time. She was like the younger sister of another friend. If it's not Tegan, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it's Tegan. But in Scotland, in Glasgow, she did this one. This is the only night I ever chilled with her in my life, and she did this one and she did another one. Yeah, no, this was definitely my first tattoo, this one. And it's kind of like my name. It's like L-U and I in one symbol, but it's not really clear, I don't think, actually. But yeah. I think it was like a commitment to being an artist for life. That's what it meant to me, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Tattoo, and then...
And when did you make that one?
2018, probably.
Like 7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah,
More than 5
2018
years
or
ago, for
2017, yeah. I got into tattoos quite late, I think, to be honest. I wasn't like 18 immediately. It was like more like I was, yeah, because I'm 28 now, so like, yeah. Yeah, it was quite a while ago. Yeah, like 7 years. And then I've got this symmetry thing going on. Like I've got like, you know, like my right hand is like the blind sort of, this dog more represents like ego to me, and this represents soul, you know, and it's like,
yes.
So like, yeah, I've sort of got this dichotomy going on that like one arm is one side of the duality and the other is the other side. And like Scotland, like the thistle here, 96, the year I was born here. Got this sort of like little happy clown going on here. Wait, let me show you like the craziest pieces I have. Oh, the mic's gonna disconnect.
Wait, yeah.
Like some of the craziest pieces I have are like on my shoulders, and this
Nice
Crustink she's called, but she's like German American. She's fucking incredible. I think she's in New York right now. But yeah, this one, and then on the other side you've got like abundance, but it's like the dollar. It's like the pyramid from the dollar. I'm not sure you can see it properly, but like,
yeah.
It's like the pyramid design from the dollar bill with abundance beneath. So it's like, it's almost like testing myself in the, you know, like I do all kinds of like speaking stuff into existence of like manifestation stuff, prayer. You know, I believe in a world where we can do that. So like,
yeah.
But it's also me questioning myself, like when I ask for abundance in my life, you know, and the idea of financial liberty and stuff, like what comes with that? Because I kind of also think capitalism is a system that's kind of like innately evil on the other hand.
Oh,
you know?
for
So
sure,
it's like,
man.
as much as I want liberty and to live a comfortable life, like that comes at the cost of others, you know, because that's just the way the system is set up.
I agree.
So like, it's just like a memento to that, basically.
And what I noticed from your tattoos is like you want to be a little bit in balance. You have here one, here one, here one, here one. But this is something I see with people. Like I also have it myself. If I have, for example, a tattoo over here and then my left arm is empty, I feel a little bit like
Balance
almost too heavy on this side, you know? And I think this is such a funny thing that happens with tattoos, you know? Yeah, crazy.
We all come back to like that holy symmetry, I think. You know what I
in
mean?
the end,
humans can't like,
and,
we can't remove ourselves from it.
Do you have in your head your next tattoo already planned or not yet?
No, they're always sometimes I like to have them planned, but the way they come around is like really freestyle, to be honest. Like, because I've got so many tattoo artists in my life. Like my ex-bandmate was a tattoo artist. My bassist now is just becoming a tattoo artist. My biological brother, who also lives in Rotterdam, is a tattoo artist. So it's like, quite often it'll be like on the day, I'm like, fuck it, I'm getting a tattoo. What am I going to do? And then I'll like come up with it. But
Nice,
like,
man.
I kind of want to have more plans, but I also kind of love that it's been that way so far.
Yeah.
Like I don't regret any of it, you know, at all. Like I love all my tats, and like they all symbolize parts of me, but like now I really want to focus on what's the red thread that like ties everything together. You know, I want more sizable pieces. I really want a piece that's like a shout out to The Prodigy. Like I want a fire starter tattoo because I was born in 96, you know, like I was born in 96 and there was so much good music that came out that year. It was also like the year that Tupac died. Might have even been the year that Biggie died, but like in music, it was such a symbolic year. And when you like type out 1996 as well, it looks so sick as a year to me. Maybe I'm just like, I'm biased as fuck, but like Firestarter, I think was like at the top of the charts that year. And it's just like, isn't that crazy? You know, that was like the biggest song, you know, one of the biggest songs that year. So I want to have like a Firestarter tat, and I just want these bigger ideas that to tat on myself basically, and to like tie all these very different graphic design ideas together, if you call them that, you know, like very different illustrative styles.
Yeah.
But right now this arm is out of balance, that's for sure. This one's got a lot more, like there's 2 here, it has nothing. Yeah.
And which one hurt the most? Do you remember that?
To be honest, there's this, I don't even think I can pull my pants up all the way, but I've got this massive dog here. It's like this diabolical dog kind of that's like fire, it got a tongue made of fire. Isadoya, she tatted that. I think that one fucking hurt a lot because it's like such a fleshy area.
Yeah.
So far, that was really rough.
Do you remember how long it took?
A whole day. It was like 6 hours.
6 hours?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, that's a proper session.
Yeah, proper session. Yeah,
proper session.
Yeah. And I really want to, like, when I hit like the main spots in my body, like back of my neck in general, I just want real pros. You know, like people like you, I assume, who've just been doing it as their main thing for like years and years and years. You know, I just need to, like, hands as well. I just want real pros to like take an idea that I have, a concept, and do their own original take, and that will never go on anyone else, and like, you know, just be unique. But I've always approached it with like the artist needs to get paid properly, so it's a matter of having some money myself before I like get these crazy tats, you know. Yeah.
Nice one. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, maybe just thank you, dude, and keep on doing what you're doing here, because it's a fucking good ass vibe. And
Nice.
I think the underground culture in this country is something that's really growing now. It's really starting to go. When I arrived here, I felt like there was much less of it, or maybe I never understood Dutch, so I couldn't see it. But like now there's one that feels like very welcoming and all-encompassing of, the youth here. And it's just beautiful to see and be a part of, you know, and to help grow that.
Man.
And I feel like you're a pivotal part of that too now, because you can help, you're like a historian, you know, you can help document, you know, creative people that are booming about Amsterdam and fucking, you know, further afield as well, you know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, my next show in Amsterdam is on May 10th. Burst City debut, Parish Smith. Shout out Parish Smith, Mila V. I'm gonna play Garage Nord at like 3 a.m. or something with the homie Jesse.
Shit, that's next to my house.
Is it? Yeah, Garage Nord. I fucking love Garage Nord.
Oh, for sure I will be there then.
Yeah, pull up.
Nice.
It's gonna be a late one, but it's gonna be a vibe.
Yeah, no worries.
It's gonna be like I think it's gonna be one of the bigger shows I've done so far. So I'll make the most out of it. You know, get really prepared for it.
Oh, amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's also soon already. Like.
Yeah, it's not long. It's like a month.
1 month or something.
1 month. Yeah.
Wow,
May 10th.
nice. So in the final part of the podcast, I want to play a little game with you.
Yeah.
So I give you like 2 options and you choose one, yeah?
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Oh God, here we go.
Yeah. Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Kendrick Lamar, easily. He's like one of my favorite fucking artists growing up all time.
So did you also like listen to all the tracks, the Grahams and stuff?
Yeah, of course, as they were coming out. Yeah.
Oh man,
that shit was brutal.
But how you don't think Drake won?
How do I not think Drake won? Oh, dude, because like he just didn't, like, he had no points. He had no leg to stand on, dude. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't really have anything deep to say, and he kept on trying to like go after everyone and not Kendrick. And yeah, at the end of the day, Kendrick is just a way better lyricist and rapper than Drake ever will be. You know? Maybe not as a pop star or singer, but you know. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So would you prefer to have a tattoo sleeve or a full back piece?
Full back piece, I think.
Nice, man.
Because right now I only have one back piece. I only have one tiny one on my back that I did like last week. You know, so like I've kind of been imagining. But yeah, it's so hard to settle on a style for a full back piece as well. You know, there's so many styles, and it's like it needs to be unique for me as well. You know, because I paint a lot myself.
Oh shit,
you know, I
nice
make painting, so it's like it would have to be unique to me as well. It couldn't just be like cyber sigilist or, you know, like some other style, you know, like tramp stamp, you know, tribal. It couldn't be like anything like that. It would have to be like something unique, but also very sick and also abstract. Like I wouldn't want it to be very figurative, you know, like I wouldn't want it to be a dragon, you know, and like at least not a dragon in the obvious way. Maybe like an abstract dragon would be cool, but like,
yes,
not like a fucking, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to perform in like a small venue or like super huge venue?
Small venue, easily.
Small venue.
Basement.
Wow.
Sweaty basement.
Grimy
Quite
stuff.
like a stage of that size of that table maybe. And then like fucking
Wow.
yeah, that's the vibe. Yeah.
Like the
Sweaty.
the best concert I ever been to for sure was like maybe 6 years ago in Vondelbunker.
Yeah, Vondelbunker. I loved playing there.
Was like
So sick.
super small.
Yeah.
Everybody smells like sweat, and then the
Yeah.
mosh pit, and then people from the mosh they fall into the guitarist, and
Yeah,
music gets fucked up is like the best.
No, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. We had a show like that with Lsgatekeeper. It was fucking wild. Like one of the best shows we've done with that band so far was Vondelbunker. Just like people that come there.
Yeah.
The Amsterdam Underground that pull up for that venue are amazing.
Yeah, man.
Like sick ass people. Real ass motherfuckers.
Okay. Mohawk or bald?
I'm gonna say Mohawk, to be honest.
Mohawk.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mohawk, yeah, because
Nice.
I've had both. So
had both?
Yeah, I've definitely had both. I shaved myself in the middle of a performance one time, like shaved myself bald.
In the middle of the performance?
In the middle of a performance, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's proper punk.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just also just people are like, what the fuck is going on? I like it's less about like thinking how something will be perceived, and more just about like creating this effect of like what the fuck is going on.
But you did it yourself.
Oh, my bassist did it.
I was like on the one hand the mic, other hand
Yeah,
the
yeah.
machine, but
My
like the
bassist Joris, he did it. Yeah, he like shaved my.
Wow, that's amazing.
He shaved my head, and then he dragged me from one room of the venue into like where I performed, basically. So like at the start, music was playing.
Right.
Like Jesse was already set up DJing, and then Joris shaved my head bald, and then dragged me by the ankles on my stomach, like into the other room, like I was a hostage or
Oh,
something.
shit.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
What crazy, man! Your shows sound like super wild, man.
No, that's like what? Yeah, I started to do some different shit. Like
Crazy.
they can get even better. We're gonna do it.
Would you prefer like an underground hit or a mainstream hit?
Honestly, a mainstream hit with like underground elements, and I mean that in the way of like Firestarter. Like I said, that was a mainstream hit. You know what I mean? But it was very raw in how it was a hit. You know, like it was jungle. It was punk. It was all these things at once. But it was so the feeling in it was so strong that like people went crazy across the world. You know, and I think
Man.
for me that's the most important thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath or AC/DC?
Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath. Oh, yo, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Planet Caravan, crazy.
Wow. Did you hear about the performance that they will have? Like the tickets
No.
are like super expensive.
Oh, I bet they are. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I think in some months in the UK,
Yeah.
like Black Sabbath will perform, and then it will be like the last performance of Ozzy Osbourne,
Damn.
and then there are like so many bands that are going to like perform there,
Damn.
and then all the tickets were sold out in like 1 minute.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
bet,
now like one ticket is like 1,500 or something.
Damn.
Like that. And
1,500.
yeah, and they started on like a couple hundred.
Christ.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. And they're not getting that revenue. It's people getting that revenue. Like
Yeah.
the 1,500.
For sure, like also when I heard like it was sold out so quickly, I
Yeah.
felt like just bots just buy all the tickets, you know?
Yeah.
Some computer programs.
Some clever dude that invented
Yeah.
a program and just trying to get paid.
Yeah.
Fucking wank.
Crazy, man. So would you choose Joydivision or Sisters of Mercy?
Joydivision. My dad's family is from Manchester, so like they're
Mancunian.
yeah, they're a big band for me. Like Joydivision were big. Like Ian Curtis was a big inspiration on how I perform to this day. Yes, you know, like he had epilepsy, you know, like he had a physical condition, you know, that would make him shake, but like his shake was so iconic as well that like I have that when I perform. I go into this mode, you know, it's like a trance, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like shaking. But it's like I saw him perform and how into the music he would become, and I always tried to get that into the music when I perform. So Joydivision for sure, yeah.
Okay. Limp Bizkit or Linkin Park?
Oh, that's really hard. I think Linkin Park, to be honest.
Linkin
with you.
Park.
I think Linkin Park,
Oh,
to be
yeah,
honest
yeah.
with you.
What's the best Linkin Park song for you?
Crawling, to be honest, yeah.
Oh yeah. That's
Just
a
because
good one.
it was such a hit, and it was like it's such a visceral feeling for me, you know. And I'm just saying Linkin Park is because they have more hits where I'm like, yeah, I understand why the fuck this was a hit, you know? Like I fucking love Just One of Those Days. Everything is shit, you know what I mean? Like, I love that song, but like, yeah, for me, that's the main hit where I'm like, I feel that so much. But when I think about the other hits, you know, from Limp Bizkit, I'm like, it's less visceral for me. Whereas Chester Bennington was such a crazy vocalist, you know? Like, he was so insanely talented as a musician. That's why I think Linkin Park for me, yeah.
I think Hybrid Theories is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure, top 10, maybe even top 5.
Yeah. No, totally, yeah.
Yeah, man.
How do you feel about the return of Linkin Park?
No! I feel they should have changed the name to something else.
Yeah.
I feel when Rage Against the Machine changed into Audio Slave, because Zach went away, it wasn't still Rage Against the Machine.
But people were still hyped about it, right? That's
like I feel like maybe if Chester would have left on his own, they could have been still Linkin Park. But since the way he died and stuff, since like the way it went,
feels disrespectful.
Yeah, I understand it. It was Linkin Park, like this whole group, like Chester's not only Linkin Park, but I feel because he died, they should have changed the name. Yeah. And I feel it sounds a bit weird when the girl sings the old songs.
Yeah. I mean, she could go hard. Like, she's a crazy vocalist.
I'm not saying she's bad, but it just feels a bit weird, you know?
No, totally.
That's
I totally agree with you.
My opinion about them.
I don't think any vocalist could replace him. That's how I feel. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I mean, Mike Shinoda already had another band back in the day when Chester Bennington was still alive. I don't see why he couldn't have just...
Yeah.
If it was all the same members of Linkin Park, but Chester Bennington's not there, I think people would have been really hyped about it still.
Yeah, man.
It was really sick to see who they got opening on tour, though, because they got one of my favorite artists, Gene Dawson. He's like, no one knows him, but he's like, in terms of like creative direction of music videos, like some of the best music videos I've ever seen in my life. And he's like also an incredibly talented multi-instrumentalist artist he's like half Mexican, half American, LA sort of area, but Gene Dawson, highly recommend, huge inspiration for me. And like if you hear 777 SOS, like my first solo single, like almost entirely inspired by Gene Dawson. And then they got him supporting them.
Yeah.
And then JPEG Mafia as well, also so sick. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you choose Korn or Slipknot?
Korn.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I think Slipknot's overrated, man.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
This is
the masks were really
humble
cool.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. No, for me, Korn for sure. Yeah, iconic as shit. You know, iconic. Also, like, for me, I think Korn were the realest band of nu metal. But that's only because I don't put Linkin Park and Deftones in nu metal. I don't consider them nu metal, to be honest.
Oh man,
I consider them something else than nu metal.
Yeah.
You know, like alternative rock. I don't know what you call it. You know, like shoegaze. Like for nu metal, for what's it called? Deftones. It's like they were shoegaze metal. You know, it wasn't. For me, it wasn't nu metal.
But like one of the first albums of Deftones is Adrenaline, right?
I think so, yeah.
And to me, that's like super nu metal.
Yeah.
But the rest of the music they made is definitely not nu metal. And of course, they have way more albums than only Adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I think also the lead singer of Deftones once said that he doesn't want Deftones to be nu metal.
Yeah, exactly.
In one of the
shoe metal.
Shoe metal.
Because it's like so shoegaze, you know.
Wow.
His reverb to fuck vocals, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's so like shoe metal, let's call it. Yeah.
Wow, shoe metal, okay.
Yeah, shoe metal. But Korn, fucking legendary, insane. Also like huge, like all these bands we've been speaking about have definitely had their influence on me. And like, I'd say the only song I have out is like X-Rated that could be even comparable to like nu metal, but definitely got some Limp Bizkit vibes in there and some Korn vibes in there, but also, you know, Dizzy Rascal and like grime. So it was a hard track to sell. It was a hard track to find an audience for. Period.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Skepta or Dave?
Skepta easily, yeah.
Yeah.
Skepta easily, yeah.
Skepta is so good, man.
Yeah.
Like one thing I like about UK, I don't know if it still happens now, but I wish they did that here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Like they have this like artists perform illegally. Like all of a sudden they perform under the bridge or something.
Yeah.
Like I always see this video of Skepta
Yeah.
When he's like under the highway, I think,
Yeah,
performing, and then
yeah.
there's like thousands of people.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, imagine this happening in
rave,
in the
real
Netherlands.
rave. That's what rave meant, you know. Like I think it originated in the UK. Don't quote me on that, but like
I think so
rave
as well,
was
yeah.
illegal. It was illegal club nights, you know, in places under a bridge or like
Yeah.
in a hole in the wall or in a squat, you know. Like that's what rave really meant, and it's been like taken by capitalism and like now big ass venues, like you know, I don't know, Milkweg, I guess. Like no offense, but like maybe they would have like a rave night, you know, or like Masilo in Rotterdam, you know, like big ass, sick building, crazy venue, but like barely ever been there. But like they would call something like Rave XL, you know, and it's like it's not really a rave because it's not illegal. So
Exactly, yeah.
it's just that name has come to symbolize so much to people, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, here y'all had Thunderdome and shit, like Rotterdam, birthplace of Gabber, like that seemed crazy, like those massive Gabber parties, insane as well.
Yeah. I never been, but they look really sick.
Yeah. Too much for me personally. It's like 20 hours of just, it's just like, now that I don't do drugs anymore, it's just a bit like, fuck. I can't even imagine doing that, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I've got a lot of respect for how hard it goes. I won't argue with someone if they think it's like the hardest genre of music there is. Kind of can't go against that. You can't really say that like, I feel like Gabber, high tempo Gabber is probably the hardest form of music because like there's nothing but hardness to it. You know, it's just like a kick blowing up your face. 24.
I feel it's not music, it's just noise.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just my
Yeah.
sorry, but yeah. Yeah, man.
No, I get you, yeah. Like I want to bring elements, like small elements of Gabber into my songs. Like you reach the very end of the song and all of a sudden it just completely switches into like full on Gabber, like, but there's still vocals.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. Just because it's such a batshit genre, you know, it's so crazy. It's
For sure, then you get like a super crazy pit.
Yeah.
Imagine if you have the normal music and then crazy switch.
Yeah. Now people immediately it's like, wow.
Yeah, man.
And that's why I want to do the electronic shit and the band shit at the same time because I love doing both. So I have one performance that's band and one performance that's electronic. To have like those crazy elements you can't do it with a band, you know. I mean you can, but it just gets really complicated technically.
Yes. And for the people that watch now, if they want to get in contact with you or listen to your music, how can they find you?
Lui Surreal 96 on TikTok, Lui Surreal on Instagram, Lui Surreal on YouTube. I'm not going to drop my email on here. I'm not going to drop my phone number in here. But any of those. I think if you hit the DMs on Instagram, definitely get back to you quickly. And if you hit the comment section on TikTok, I'll definitely respond to you. Or YouTube even. And I'm trying to think if I have anything. Spotify. Right, yeah. That's the main place. SoundCloud, you can listen. You can listen on all platforms pretty much, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I will put your socials like in the bottom of the screen and also all the links in the description of this video.
Sick.
So
Sick.
that will be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you made it so far and you liked the episode, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the song Gatekeeper because like recently it's one of my favorite songs that I listen to in the Tattooshop all the time.
My G.
Like for sure, bro. Not even just because you're here.
I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Also, when I scroll on TikTok, I see like random videos of you just on a balcony, and then
Yeah,
man.
No,
Thanks,
I've taken to like vibe matching it, but yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, thank you so much, dude.
Yes. Cheers, bro.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you for watching.
Oh.
Hit the bell as well.
Hit the bell.
Be notified.